Have you ever sold a vehicle and wanted it back later? Well, this is our Lost and Refound story. This is our 1972 Jeep Wagoner. We sold it in 2013 and had been talking about at some point getting another Wagoner, and then we happened to come across our Wagoner. So we'll get into the history of it all on another episode, but for right now, let's just do a little walk around and show you what we got. So here is the big Jeep. As you can see, we've got this great big ugly bumper that somebody managed to put on it. I see they reused some of the brackets from the bumper that I had on it when we sold it. It's got a 12,000 pound winch, which, comes in handy, especially when you're loading a vehicle on a trailer. It's nice to have that built in. It's obviously in a little bit of rough condition, kind of neglected. It's definitely not the condition we sold it in. It's got this ugly tannish, yellowish paint that we're going to address that later. But for now, it is what it is. So, as you can see, we've got the front end. Let's walk around the side, take a look at what we got. We got more of the same ugly yellow paint. We got some little 31-inch roller tires. We had wheeled this on anywhere from 35 to 38-inch tires. We'll probably get back into that kind of tire size range once we get it built. One cool little feature, to me anyway, is the Lucky Frog sticker. A friend of mine had went to Hawaii for work and brought back those stickers, and we put them on our wheeling rigs. And that's the same sticker that has been there for, well, about 20 years now. So if you guys have ever seen that sticker, let me know. If not, we're going to see about reproducing them, because I think it's just kind of a neat little piece of history. So we're still on the driver's side here. As you can see, it was originally an orangey color. We haven't determined exactly what color that is yet, but we'll get into that later. This door I had painted in a silver and black scheme. Never went any further with it. Kind of glad I didn't, because now the orange and then it had a black stripe right here on this beautiful body line. That's kind of the direction we'll be going back. As you can see, the fenders have been cut and clearanced for larger tires. And of course, we got the rust delete doing that, because old vehicles just had rust. We'll continue around the back. There's not much to say. There's the back. Not much has changed. Still got the arrow wing. It's not for aerodynamics. It's just to help keep that back window clean. But there's the back end. And we'll come around to the passenger side. So this silly little thing down here, this bottle opener, I don't know why you'd put something like that on the side of your body. That's just something that could get hung up when you're out rock crawling. Besides which, these old vehicles right here, you got built-in bottle openers. Why would you need to put a silly little thing like that on there? I'm sure by now you've noticed this door and this door are different colors. Well, they are. They're green. Those came off another parts Jeep I had at the time. These two doors took some heavy damage on a trail. Slid off into a couple of rocks. Could have been a worse day, but just never painted them. So we'll get to those at some point. Got the CB antennas, because that's how we communicated on the road, especially on the trail back then. And of course, the cut and clearance front fenders to match the rear. Now you've kind of seen the walk around outside. Let's take a look inside. we've got the luxurious interior of the big Jeep. This seat cover is surprisingly held up well. That's the seat cover I put on when we still had it. Got some extra pieces of foam for extra cushion because, you know, the seat springs always break down in these. We've got headlights, we've got trim, we've got an old ashtray. We've got this awesome little bit. That is the oh crap handle and loading handle for my wonderful wife Hillary. You know, so everybody say hi to Hillary. She's running the camera today. And of course you can see we've got the B&M Mega Shifter, truck shifter. So that's something I put in. I like the ratchet shifter on that. And if you notice, there's a hole in the floor. Huh. There's something missing there. What could be missing? Well, we'll just have to look, see if we can find out what's missing. Still got power inverter that I put on. That was handy for, you know, if we need to run electric tools, or if the wife just wanted to plug in a curling iron and curl her bangs in the morning. Got our winch control. It's kind of handy for loading a vehicle when it doesn't move under its own power. And we'll move on to the back. Oh, well, looky here. We got pieces. That's exhaust pieces. Well, let's see if we can keep seeing what we see. Oh, well, that would explain what's missing. That would be the transmission and the transfer case. So part of the reason this went up for sale was because the transmission stopped working. They pulled it out, couldn't figure out what was going on, didn't want to spend the money, whatever. So that's going to be our big initial fix. We're going to have to rebuild that transmission. We'll probably go ahead and reseal the transfer case while we got it apart and get it to where it'll move under its own power again. But hey, let's not stop here. Let's keep walking around and look at the other side on the interior. Here we're in the driver's cockpit area. Got, you know, typical Grant steering wheel from the era. We've got line locks. These are jammer line locks. They are a mechanical line lock for parking brake. They were great for doing burnouts and of course holding the vehicle on hills if you needed all four wheels locked up. Custom gauge panel on the dash. Unfortunately, some of the gauges have come apart over the years. That's something we can replace them. We've got unmarked switches. I'm going to have to remember what all those switches do. There's lights, and there's the back window, and there was an air compressor and all sorts of goodies. And of course, you know, we got the CB radio. Breaker 19, breaker 19. That's how we communicated back then. Overall, still in pretty good shape interior wise. Still have the floor mats that we even put in. Kind of crazy. And then we've got the floors are in really good shape because they haven't rusted out, because I replaced them because they were rusted out. But you know how it is with old vehicles. Let's take another quick peek further back. And we got more parts. There's drive shafts, there's the exhaust, there's a shifter handle or shifter knob for the transfer case. Eventually, that'll all get put back in its rightful place. And look at that, more gratuitous shots of the transmission and transfer case. We'll go ahead and see if we can get this back window open up and see if we can take a look. Alright. Come on now. Oh, you're gonna be that way, aren't you? Hey, we got a winner. We got her down. Alright. Wagoner's handles on the inside. Give it a little tug. Hey, there's a transfer case right there. Oh! Apparently the spring bars are not in the tailgate, and this thing only weighs about 600 pounds. So we've got our transmission out. we've got our transfer case with dual sticks. We've got 2 torque converters, which is curious. And neither torque converter is the one that I had originally installed. So I'm guessing they thought it was a torque converter issue and came up with some torque converters. If you'll notice, the custom storage, which I haven't even opened this box yet. So you and me, we're going to take a peek together. Watch out for that. And let's see if we got any secrets. Nope. There's a lug wrench in there. That's it. Well, that was anticlimactic, but still fun to learn. Yeah, custom storage I had built. Apparently it needs refinished. We've got a custom panel on this side. It's got a gauge and a tire chuck for the air system that I had originally installed. A little switch, like a couple switches back there for lights in the back if you had to do trail repairs. And I'm sure you've seen the electric air compressor up on top of that box. That's not something that I had put in, but we'll talk about the air system in a little while. So we're in the belly of the beast, or under the belly of the beast. As we can see, it ain't got no transmission or transfer case. Those are in the back. When I spoke to the guy, he said it had a transmission issue. They pulled it out. Don't know why it wasn't ever rebuilt, fixed, put back in, whatever. Made for a better deal for us. Now I can rebuild the transmission like it's always needed to be to match the power of the motor, and you know, we'll get her back on the road. Underneath you can see we got an air tank. It's a 3-gallon air tank. I can't remember what kind of truck I bought that from, and well, it works great for airing up tires, running air tools, and eventually the plan was air lockers. Still might be in the works later on, much later on. If you look further back, we've got a great big huge monster fuel tank where the spare tire used to be. That's something that I had built. 33-gallon tank. That bottom is 1/4-inch plate steel. You could land the whole thing on it, wouldn't hurt it one bit. And it is crammed in there. And, you know, we've been looking around, noticed that pretty much all the rubber lines are going to need to be replaced. Transmission, fuel, brake lines especially. You know, we want to get it back on the road, but we're going to be safe about it. So let's climb back out and take a look at some more. Here's the heart of the matter. This is an AMC 360 that I've built. And that was one of the reasons it made sense to buy it back. I know what's in this motor. We saw the pictures, saw that it had pretty much been untouched. Don't think it's ever been opened up in the last 10 years. You know, it just made sense. Buying something that we knew was good. We've got the extra capacity engine oil filter on a remote system. We've got a remote transmission filter, which may not keep since we have to rebuild the transmission. This fine little piece right here, you're going to recognize that as a York AC compressor. Well, back in the early 2000s, you could buy an air compressor that used one of those. Well, I thought to myself, I could make something like that. Let's make it run on the engine instead of an electrically driven motor. And so I plumbed in a air compressor, and it's belt driven. It's got a switch that turns the clutch off and on, and this thing would keep up with, you know, pretty much most smaller shop compressors. 10 to 1, it quit working because of lack of lubrication. These things, you gotta pull this little bolt on the side here. I don't know if you can see where my grease finger's pointing, but you gotta pull that, use a little dipstick, make sure it's got enough oil. 10 to 1, it's locked up. It's something that, since we have a big electric air compressor, we may relocate that and then go ahead and put air conditioning under the dash on this unit, since we're now in a warmer climate. But like I said, pretty much everything down to the spark plug wires, pretty much as I sold it. You know, just needs a little bit of spit shine polish, a little bit of love. Said looks like it's more neglect than abuse, but overall pretty happy with the condition. Well, hi, welcome back to the inside. So here's this air panel. We've got gauges on each air shock. We've got a master gauge in the center. We've got switches to run every air shock up and down. Uses electric solenoids to fill them with air or bleed the air off. You know, would have been kind of cool to do airbags. You know, I know not a lot of people do airbags on an off-road rig, but doing those air shocks, it actually helps quite a bit. You can put a little more pressure on one side or one corner as you're going on an obstacle on a trail, running down the highway. If you want to, you know, give it a little extra stability, you can put some more air in them. Works pretty good. Well, there's our introductions. There again, I'm Kris. This is the Big Jeep. Nice to meet you all. Hope you'll follow along. Be sure to like, subscribe, share it with your friends. You know, we're really excited about doing this. This is going to be a fun thing. We're going to run into some obstacles, but you do on any build. But looking forward to getting it back on and off the road. And we'll see you next time.
Hummingbird.
Whoa, we got photobombed by a hummingbird. Hello, how are you today?